Hey there, Rebecca here. I wanted to create this video to help you get to know me because why not? I think it's important if you're considering hiring somebody to help you find somebody that you know more about the person that you're considering hiring. So, nice to meet you. My name is Rebecca. I used to be a Cooper, and then I met this great guy, and now I'm a trainer, but I have both the last names because I love them both. I love the old me and the new me. When I describe my life to people, I always say the old me in different stories because I'm 41 years old. I believe I've lived several lives already in this lifetime, if that makes any sense at all. I have watched myself learn about myself, just constantly discovering new qualities that I have. I have watched myself do things that I never thought I was capable of doing. And I'm really excited to see what else is out there for me and what else I'm going to do. But all of that takes time, and there's the trial and the errors. But I'm along for the ride. Okay. Hi, I'm Rebecca, 41 years old. Have been matchmaking and working as a date coach and online dating expert for a long time, but I've been in the industry for 13 years. I started MatchMe when I was living in Peterborough, Ontario. I'm not from Peterborough, but my dad had a cottage in the area when I was growing up. And after high school and after completing post-secondary school, I moved to Peterborough. I worked random jobs. I then decided I wanted to open up a clothing store, which I did at the age of 26. And it was a wild ride. I didn't really understand the business. I wasn't totally sure what I was doing, but there was something inside of me that was telling me that I gotta do it. I need to try and see how it goes. And I built this amazing community in my shop. People would come in and they would share really private details with me about themselves, which I loved. I loved being able to have that connection with people just by being myself. And I remember some people would come in and they would say, "Oh my God, I got engaged. I haven't even told my parents yet." Or they would say, "I just learned that I'm pregnant." And I loved that people would want to come tell me because they knew I was their cheerleader. I was there to support them and help them. So then what happened was the recession started. I started to feel it at the store, and I was left scrambling, wondering how am I going to keep this community in my shop afloat? I wanted to be there to be able to help my customers. And it very much started as me offering Canadian designer clothing to my customers. But very quickly, it became this community and offering the support and being there for people and helping. And so that I was a really early key point that I started to notice in the shop that, it wasn't just about selling the awesome clothes. It was about being there for people and knowing that they could trust me and I was there to support them, and I felt the support from them as well in a lot of different ways. So anyway, I started to feel the recession at the shop, and then I started to look into other ways to create more income. I thought, I can't be buying more inventory because there's no guarantee that that's going to sell. I need to provide a service. And for years before that, I worked as a hairstylist. Something new that you're learning about me. I worked as a hairstylist and I loved it, but that was so time consuming, and I needed something that I could do, a service I could provide as I was at the shop working. So I took note. A lot of my customers, it was a women's wear store. A lot of my customers were successful, educated women. They really had everything that they could want and that they could provide for themselves. But what they didn't have was a partner. And it was a small community. It was in Peterborough, Ontario, and people just didn't know how to go about dating, and they wanted to find somebody, but they didn't know how to go about doing it. And then not long after I had this realization, 3 of my friends came into the shop, and I was somebody, at that point, I was somebody that was in a relationship, unhappy, mind you. Somebody was single, somebody was engaged, and somebody just got married. And my single friend said, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna find somebody? Like, you're in a relationship, you're engaged, you're married, I have nobody, I'm from the area, what am I gonna do? And that was in 2008. And it really had me thinking. I thought, if I were single right now, how would I find somebody? I don't know. Like, I have created this amazing business. I own a property. I own my car. I have, money. I've created this great life. How would I go about finding somebody? So I decided I'm going to look into dating businesses. So I did my research. I contacted a lot of, at that point, potential competition to learn what they were offering and what kind of service they had. And I found myself, after every phone call, feeling kind of confused. I felt like all of these services that I spoke to made me feel like I was desperate. And like they just wanted my money. That's how I felt. And I thought, when I create a service, I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to feel like I'm there to support them and to help them. Because that's just the person that I am. That's, look at the shop that I just mentioned. I was there for people, and I wanted to be able to be that person for people that were single and looking for love. So I created Match Me at that point, and it blew up. It was a really great addition to my life. It helped me learn so much about my strengths and my weaknesses. At that point, I was in my late 20s, interviewing single people that were at least double my age. And these were people that initially in the meeting, they would, be saying to me, actually, what do you know about being in a long-lasting relationship? Like, I'm 65. What are you going to teach me? So it was very difficult for the first year that I was being interviewed in the interviews. And I really had to help people understand how I could help them. So what ended up happening, it just kind of happened naturally, was that I had these incredible breakthrough moments with people where they would have this discovery about themselves, something that they had not ever acknowledged in the 65 years. And that was the moment when they were like, she knows what she's doing. She doesn't know me, but she was able to help me learn something new, something that was, and that is incredibly important in my next step. She's the one for me. She was able to help me learn, have this new discovery. I feel comfortable. I trust her. I am, sitting in this cafe across the table from her, and I'm sharing, and I'm being vulnerable. And, there were some cases where clients would be wiping tears from their eyes because they were sharing just really private and just vulnerable experiences with me. And I was on the other end also wiping the tears, because it really means a lot to meet somebody that I can move, and somebody that we can share that moment together, and I'm there for them. Even in the early stages of not knowing these people, I can be there for them to help support them. And by doing this matchmaking for, all of these years, it has helped me become a better partner in my relationship. So when I started matchmaking, I was in a bad relationship with somebody. It wasn't really going anywhere, but it worked because we were able to be friends. We were splitting the bills, and it was okay. Was I in love with him? No. Did I like him? Not really. Did I at one point? I liked him at one point, but was I ever in love with him? I don't think so. But it worked. But as I was interviewing these people for, a few years when I started my business, I was learning so much about myself as I was learning more about them. And what I started to do to help me move past being in this bad relationship and to search for something new, something fulfilling and meaningful, was I started to ask myself those deep questions. I started to dig deep, and it was an incredible experience. I learned so much about myself, and I continue to dig deep. And my old self, I was judgmental, a know-it-all. I was searching for people that had potential and that I could help and fix. And I didn't want to be that person anymore. And as I started to dig deep and learn more about myself and discover, maybe some things about me, different experiences that I had not given any attention to. As I started to think more about these things and discover new things, I started to give myself more compassion instead of judging myself, thinking, why did you do that? Why did you stay in that relationship for so long? I said to myself, you did the best that you could, and now that you're out, this is a turning point for you. And you have the world in your hands. You can make whatever decision you want for yourself. And by giving myself that compassion, I was really able to be there for myself, be my biggest supporter, because nobody is gonna be there for you like you are going to be there for you. So if you're struggling with that, then that's something that you need to start zeroing in on. You need to dig deep. You need to be your biggest supporter, because nobody else is going to be there for you, okay? Not like you can be there for you. And that's how it should be. You should always come first in your life. So I was able to find this great guy, and somebody that probably a few years before I would have thought he was totally out of my league. But what I didn't realize was I was in that league. I spent far too long trying to fix people that were not worth my time. I spent far too long nitpicking and judging myself. And when I finally started to give myself that compassion and recognize my strengths and really be accountable for things that happened and know, where I was, what part I had from that, it was incredibly helpful for me to get to where I am today. I know I have this great guy, and we have a wonderful relationship, and we focus so much on communication and sharing and being vulnerable. And I don't know if I could have been that partner with any of my exes, because they were not that way either. But I have this great relationship, and I would love for you to find that relationship too.